Everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I hope you're ready because we are literally blasting off into space right now. We are going to dive deep into the poem Off to Outer Space Tomorrow Morning by Norman Nicholson. We're going to break down the language, unpack the main themes, and really look at the nuts and bolts of this poem. By the time we're done, you're going to know exactly what this astronaut is feeling as he sits on that launch pad. So strap in because the countdown is officially starting.
All right, here's our mission flight plan for today. First up, we'll meet our astronaut and the poet who dreamt him up. Then, we'll experience that liftoff. After that, we'll decode the poetry itself. Look at the cool literary devices and metaphors. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a quick mission debrief. Let's get right into it.
Now, I want to kick things off by asking you a question. Have you ever felt completely isolated from the world? Just think about it for a second. Imagine being totally off the grid. No Wi-Fi, zero text messages, no friends dropping by, not even a window to check if it's daytime. But instead of just being stuck in your room, imagine this on a massive cosmic scale. That is the exact feeling we are exploring today. Absolute, undeniable, total isolation. To help guide us through this incredible cosmic isolation, let's meet the mind behind the mission, the poet Norman Nicholson. Now, Nicholson is super famous for his straightforward language. He loves using everyday speech. He doesn't bog you down with complicated, flowery, impossible-to-read words. Instead, he uses really simple, direct language to explore one of the heaviest themes out there, the ultimate form of detachment from the rest of humanity. Let's take a look at exactly how he begins this wild journey.
So the poem kicks off with this very literal action of preparing for space. The speaker says, "You can start the countdown. You can take a last look. You can pass me my helmet from its plastic hook. You can cross out my name from the telephone book." Just pause and think about that last line for a second. He's telling people to literally erase his existence from Earth's records. He is severing all his earthly ties. He's not just going on a vacation, right? He is disconnecting from society entirely. The countdown is ticking, the helmet is off the hook, and he is 100% ready to go.
Well, what exactly is this astronaut leaving behind? He tells us pretty clearly. There won't be any calendars up there, and there won't be any clocks. He's going to write no letters, and he's certainly not posting any mail. With nobody around to visit him, he won't even have a single friend within calling distance. He is completely, totally losing track of human connection and earthly time. Once he's up in that rocket, the concepts of days, months, and catching up with friends, they just cease to exist.
To really drive this idea home, Nicholson uses a fascinating phrase. He says, daylight will be on the switch and winter under lock. Okay, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding that phrase, winter under lock. You see, in space, there's no change of seasons. The weather doesn't shift from hot to cold. There is literally no winter, no summer. It's just a void. He controls his daylight by just flicking an electrical switch, and the earthly seasons are locked away from him. He is entirely in control of his own tiny artificial environment, completely disconnected from the natural rhythms of our planet.
But, as you might guess, this intense level of control comes at a massive psychological price. Listen to the vocabulary Nicholson introduces next: solitary confinement and jail. Now, if you didn't know, jail is just an older British spelling for the word jail, or prison. The astronaut says he will be in solitary confinement as complete as any jail. And this brilliantly illustrates the crazy paradox of his journey. On one hand, he's flying out into the vast, infinite expanse of the universe, yet he feels like he's locked inside a tiny, lonely cosmic prison cell. He's completely, utterly alone.
Let's shift gears and talk about the physics of the journey, because once that capsule door is sealed shut, the rules of Earth simply no longer apply. Stanza 4 gives us this absolutely incredible line, "With the teacups circling round me like the planets round the sun." Because he's in a zero-gravity environment inside the capsule, lacking weight because there's no gravity pull, objects just float. Everyday items like his morning teacups are suddenly subjected to the laws of astrophysics right there inside his cabin.
Let's deconstruct this famous simile. Nicholson takes everyday, floating teacups inside a spaceship and compares them to massive, giant planets orbiting a star. By using the word like to compare these two totally unlike things, he creates this stunning visual in our minds. The astronaut is just sitting right in the middle of his capsule, acting like the sun at the center of our solar system, literally holding his tiny floating teacup galaxy in orbit. It's such a cool image.
And that simile leads directly into one of the most powerful metaphors in the entire poem. I'll be center of my gravity, a universe of one. He isn't just comparing himself to the sun anymore. He is flat out declaring that he has become an entire self-contained universe. Think about that. He doesn't need Earth. He doesn't need humanity. This right here is the ultimate peak of his detachment. He truly is a universe of one.
So what about the people back on Earth? How does he feel about the scientists and citizens watching him launch? Well, his attitude becomes incredibly rebellious and just unbothered. He knows people are tracking his upward shooting star through their telescopes, but he explicitly says, "You needn't think I'll give a damn for you," meaning he absolutely does not care about them. He even tells the souls on Earth they can blow your top, which is an idiom that means to explode in anger. He is leaving them all behind, jumping 100 light years away, and he literally couldn't care less if Earth is upset about it. To really appreciate how Nicholson builds this defiant, rebellious attitude, we've got to look at the mechanics of the poem. Notice the N words of the first stanza: look, hook, book. In poetry, we assign the letter A to these rhyming sounds. Then, the stanza ends with the word morning, which gets a B. This A-B pattern is repeated throughout the entire poem. Those 3 A rhymes build up this rapid, intense tension, kind of like a massive rocket engine revving up, before finally dropping that final anchor line to release the pressure.
And what exactly is that final anchor line? It's the refrain. Now, a refrain is just a fancy literary term for a phrase or line that's repeated regularly throughout a poem, usually at the end of a stanza. Every single stanza in this poem ends with, "For I'm off to outer space tomorrow morning," or at least a slight variation of it. This constant repetition acts just like the ticking, rhythmic pulse of a countdown clock. Tick, tick, tick. It reminds us over and over again of the inescapable reality of his impending launch. It is happening, and there is absolutely no turning back.
Now, how does this chill attitude compare to other famous space poems? Think about Leonore Marchal's poem, I Am a Cosmonaut, where the speaker explores a garden universe that is full of wonder and delicate danger. Or consider Rock Samour's Sitting at the Edge of the World, which expresses this total, crushing despair, literally wishing someone would end their misery out in the void. Compared to Marchal's sense of wonder and Samour's deep despair, Nicholson's astronaut is entirely unique. He is completely unbothered, perfectly content to be locked in his solitary confinement as a universe of one.
Okay, team, it is time for our mission debrief. Let's make sure we've locked in the core concepts. Step 1. Did we identify the final launch moments? Yes, we did. The countdown, grabbing the helmet, and crossing that name right out of the phone book. Step 2. Why are calendars useless? Because, simply put, there are no days or nights in space. Step 3. What does winter under lock mean? It means there is zero change of seasons up there. And step 4, can we visualize those zero-gravity teacups orbiting like planets? Absolutely. If you understand these 4 key points, you have officially mastered the core mechanics of this poem.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Nicholson's astronaut actively chooses this ultimate isolation. He really doesn't care about the Earth, the people, or the seasons he's leaving behind. He embraces the prison of his space capsule just to gain the freedom of being completely disconnected. So ask yourself this: would you trade the entire Earth, your friends, the changing seasons, and literally everything you know just to be a universe of one? It's a really heavy question about ultimate freedom versus ultimate isolation. Think deeply about it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.
Welcome to the Evaluator's Masterclass. Look, if you're a 10th standard student gearing up for the Karnataka SSLC board exams, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to stop studying like ordinary students and start reading like the examiners holding the red pens. I have evaluated countless papers, and I know exactly where you guys lose marks. And today, we're going to fix that.
Here is your tactical blueprint for Norman Nicholson's Off to Outer Space Tomorrow Morning. We're going to quickly run through the evaluator's blueprint, securing 1-mark questions, those 2-mark golden keywords, decoding 3-mark extracts, figures of speech formulas, and your final exam checklist. All right, part 1, the evaluator's blueprints. Listen, just knowing the basic summary of the astronaut leaving Earth, that simply isn't enough anymore. You've got to understand exactly where the board allocates half marks and full marks. You have to stop writing these long, wandering paragraphs summarizing the whole poem. As evaluators, we have hundreds of papers to grade, and we are literally scanning strictly for high-yield keywords. So we're going to look directly at those high-yield question topologies, starting with the absolute simplest questions and moving straight up the ladder. Moving right along to part 2, securing those 1-mark questions. Now, these multiple choice and direct questions, they are absolute examiner favorites. But watch out, because they are full of traps completely designed to catch you off guard. Take this specific quote from the poem, "Winter under lock." I see this exact line tested repeatedly in previous year question papers. You're almost certainly going to see it in your multiple choice section or as a quick 1-mark question. And this brilliantly illustrates a super common student mistake. The trap here? Students see the word winter and they immediately write, "It is cold in space." Let me tell you, I have crossed that out with my red pen hundreds of times. That's 0 marks. The official key answer, the exact phrase I am instructed to look for as an evaluator is, "There is no change of seasons in space." You need to lock that exact phrase into your memory right now. No change of seasons. Okay, part 3. 2-mark golden keywords. This is the section where students constantly bleed half marks by writing vague conversational sentences instead of hitting the technical keywords. Take this classic board question that pops up year after year. Why does the speaker feel imprisoned in solitary confinement? If you just tell me he is lonely or he is in space, that is definitely not going to get you the full 2 marks. You have to prove to the evaluator that you actually know the text. So here's your high-yield memory trick. You need to link these exact 4 keywords together sequentially to guarantee you hit the evaluator's scoring criteria. Number 1, he is alone in his capsule. 2, no visitors. 3, no letters or mail. And 4, no communication. If I see those 4 exact points on your paper, that is an immediate, guaranteed 2 out of 2 marks. Let's jump to part 4. Decoding 3-mark extracts. I know reference to context or extract questions cause the most anxiety for you guys, but they really shouldn't. Why? Because the board has a very strict, highly predictable 1+1+1 marking scheme for these specific questions. You're not writing an essay here. You are just hitting 3 distinct targets. Let me break down exactly where those 3 individual marks come from so you know exactly how to visually structure your written answer on the page. You get 1 mark for identifying the speaker or poet. You get 1 mark for explaining the core meaning of the line, and you get 1 mark for providing the specific context of the situation. Let's actually walk through a real board extract question so you can see this in action. The extract is, "With the teacups circling around me like the planets around the sun, I'll be center of my gravity, a universe of one." Question A asks, "Who is the speaker?" Your answer, the poet Norman Nicholson. Bam, that's 1 mark. Question B asks, "Why do teacups circle around the speaker?" Your answer, "Objects float around as there is 0 gravity in space." There's your 2nd mark. And question C asks, "Who does the speaker compare himself to?" Your answer, to the sun. Boom, that is 3 out of 3 marks. It's a formula, guys, plain and simple. Part 5, Figures of Speech Formulas.
Now, evaluators pull directly from the textbook annexure to set the paper. So lock this rule in your memory right now. With the teacups circling round me like the planets round the sun, if they ask you for the figure of speech here, you immediately write simile. Why? Because you see the word like comparing 2 completely different things, teacups and planets. If you see like or as making a comparison, it is always a simile. Don't overthink it, just secure the mark.
And finally, part 6, your final exam checklist. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. It's just not enough to only understand the poem or the basic science of 0 gravity. When you sit down with that 81E or 81K question paper, you have to ask yourself, are you just summarizing, or are you writing the exact, precise words the evaluator is actively searching for? Remember our golden keywords: no change of seasons, solitary confinement, 0 gravity. Crack the code, give the evaluators exactly what they want, and those marks are absolutely yours. Keep studying smart, and I'll see you in the next explainer.